Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can download our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the word Spot Media. Newly appointed Assistant Commissioner of Police for Area 1, Donovan Graham, has revealed that over 1,400 children have been featured in major crimes across the island since 2015. The figures were released at the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay's 52nd installation ceremony in St. James last evening. ACP Graham says those children have been arrested for Category 1 crimes between 2015 and September 2017. They are between the ages of 12 to 18. Category 1 crimes include murder, shooting, rape, and robbery. Of the figures, 1,373 are males, while 46 are females. Some 192 children have been arrested for murder, 152 held for shooting, while some 364 children were arrested for robbery. 256 children have been held for break-ins, while 232 have been arrested for rape. ACP Graham says too many children are involved in crime, too many instances where they are abused, and too many instances where they continue to be victims of crime. One man is dead and 3 others seriously injured after gunmen went on a rampage in Lucy, Hanover last evening. Dead is 52-year-old Noel Usherwood of Johnsontown, Lucy. The police are reporting that about 9:30 p.m., a group of men were sitting at a restaurant in Johnsontown when 2 men approached and started firing shots. Police say upon their arrival, 4 men were seen laying in a pool of blood, suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds. They were taken to the Noel Holmes Hospital, where Usherwood was pronounced dead and the other 3 admitted in serious condition. Relatives of Usherwood say his death has left the family in shock.
Me cause him in a handsome. God, you never forget that.
Sprang is a person, it doesn't trouble people. Even nobody has nothing, so I don't know where this coming from.
2 more escapees from the Linstead lockup in St. Catherine have been recaptured. They are 21-year-old Damian Daly and 28-year-old Ezroy Cohen, both from Banbury in Linstead. Mr. Daly, who is charged with arson, was recaptured this morning, while Mr. Cohen, who is charged with burglary and rape, was recaptured late last night. Mr. Cohen was nabbed while attempting to board a taxi in the Linstead town centre about 11:50 in the night. They are among 6 men who escaped from the Linstead lockup on Tuesday morning. 2 other escapees, Alwyn Shakespeare and Daniel James, have also been recaptured. 25-year-old Shane Wellington of Cassava Pond, Ewerton in St. Catherine, and 29-year-old Anthony Jarrett, Mountain Pass, Linstead, and Churchpen, Old Harbour, are still on the run. The police are renewing their appeal for these men to turn themselves in. Anyone with information on their whereabouts are being asked to call the police 119 emergency number or the nearest police station. Persons are also being reminded that it's a criminal offense to harbor a fugitive. A 55-year-old teacher who was charged with sexual misconduct was freed yesterday. Paul Thomas, a teacher at the Women's Girls High School in Kingston, was freed of a charge of indecent assault of an 11-year-old girl when he appeared before the St. Andrew Parish Court. At the trial, prosecutors reported that Mr. Thomas touched the child inappropriately when she visited his St. Andrew home on January 11, 2015. The matter was reported to the police, and following an investigation, the history teacher was arrested and charged. However, at the hearing, Mr. Thomas strongly denied the allegations. Mr. Thomas, who is also a netball coach, told the trial that he was showing the child netball moves and at no time did he touch her. In closing arguments, his attorney, Vincent Wellesley, attacked the credibility of the Crown's case and urged the preceding parish judge, Maxwell Ellis, to dismiss the case. After deliberating on the evidence, Judge Ellis agreed with the attorney's submissions and ordered the release of Mr. Thomas. As the health minister has announced plans to increase to 50 the number of pharmacists participating in the public-private partnership to reduce the waiting time for persons to fill prescriptions. Dr. Christopher Tufton was addressing the signing ceremony for roof repairs to the Maypen Hospital in Clarendon on Thursday, where he noted that so far the program has made a marked difference in one aspect of patient care. He says an estimated 21 pharmacies are now participating in the initiative.
We have seen over 14,000, I'm told by the NHF, over 14,000 prescriptions being written for public patients in those private pharmacies under this PPP arrangement. It means 14,000 less persons who would have had to wait within the hospital system to get drugs.
Industry Minister Karl Samuda says the ministry is looking to replace asphaltic concrete roads with cement. Speaking at a tour at Caribbean Cement earlier this week, he said the adjustments will focus on rural areas. Mr. Samuda noted that cement roads are more expensive but will last longer. He added the move will save the government from spending a lot on road repairs.
There are certain roads that we continue to use asphalted concrete, especially in the deep rural areas, the steep slopes, the tremendous difficulties with exposure to water, and it doesn't last. I understand that initially the road built by cement may be a thought more expensive, but when you look at the replacement of the road compared to asphalted concrete, the cement road will give you longevity.
Former chairman of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, Garnet Roper, is accusing the current management of the state-owned bus company of mismanaging the entity. JUTC Managing Director Paul Abrahams told Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, on Wednesday that the company will be forced to terminate the jobs of more than 300 staff members due to increased costs. Mr. Abrahams argued that the overstaffing by the previous management is forcing the cash-strapped bus company to pay out an additional $25 million in salaries each month. But in an interview with our news center, Mr. Roper accused Mr. Abrahams and his management team of returning the JUTC to a state of inefficiency. He dismissed claims that the former management increased the staff complement by more than 500 persons due to politics. According to the former JUTC chairman, scores of employees were fired when the new management took over the entity over a year ago. He insists that the former board left the JUTC on a solid financial footing.
I can't comment on whether it is overstaffed or not. What I can say is that the jobs at the JUTC need to pay for themselves. And in the 3 years preceding the end of my incumbency, we went to the government once for any finances related to salary or operation. We covered 83% of the cost of running the company from the fare box, and that is higher than any other bus company in this part of the world, in the Western Hemisphere, including the U.S. What has happened now is that they have returned the JU to its former state of inefficiency, of unreliability, of corruption, and of politicization of the process.
As tension escalates ahead of 3 by-elections, the 2 main political parties are today signing agreements aimed at easing political conflicts. Political Ombudsman Donald Parchment Brown confirmed that all candidates for the by-elections will be making binding declarations about how they will conduct themselves and control their supporters. The candidates who are running for the constituencies of St. Andrews Southern and St. Andrews Southwestern signed the Code of Conduct earlier this morning at the office of the Ombudsman. However, the candidates for Southeast St. Mary will be signing later today. The parties have stepped up their activities ahead of the October 30 by-elections, and this has resulted in increased rhetoric and tension. In St. Mary Southeastern, there have been claims of signs being defaced, damaged, or removed, with calls being made for the political ombudsman to intervene. And it's time now for our fact or fiction feature. Or fiction, Sam Sharp. Sam Sharp was named the first national hero on November 15, 1964. And we'll tell you the answer at the end of the sports segment of the newscast. We go now to sports as controversial Phoenix All-Stars Academy CEO and founder Craig Butler says he is no longer interested in a position with the Jamaica Football Federation, noting he and his sons are being malaligned by members of the local governing body. Butler had initially thrown his hat into the ring for the JFF presidency before later indicating his intention for the director of football post. But with recent controversy involving his son Leon Bailey not being called up for the recent friendly international against Saudi Arabia, Butler says his interests in the JFF and his sons representing Jamaica could be a thing of the past.
I don't think Leon is interested anymore. Yeah, I don't think Kyle is interested. We're very hurt because we are people of honor. When we give our word, we keep it. We supported my crickets.
He was tried.
Meanwhile, Director of Sports at UTEC, Anthony Davis, is calling for revision of the Jamaica Intercollegiate Association Constitution. With the recent controversial move to do away with the GPA eligibility requirements and a challenge to Dalton Myers' presidency, Davis says changes are needed.
We have identified that new revision. Intercol, like any organization, is dynamic and things are changing. A topical thing is whether you could have dual citizenship and serve in parliament. It was challenged and then we found out that it had to be changed. Likewise, things happen in Intercol.
And finally this afternoon, the answer to our Fact or Fiction feature. We asked fact or fiction. Sam Sharp was named the first national hero on November 15, 1964. Well, it's fiction. Marcus Mosiah Garvey was named the first national hero on November 15, 1964. The government was ceremoniously reinterred his remains in the National Heroes Park in Kingston. Garvey died on June 10, 1940 after suffering 2 strokes that year. His body was embalmed and interred in the Kendall Green Cemetery in London for 20 years before it was sent to Jamaica. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.